Hey everybody, I am Luna Willows.
And I'm Jenna Pierce. We'd love to welcome you to our podcast, The Flow of Ink.
Which is a great place where we take our stories page by page and our life day by day. Oh, never mind.
Don't you sit back, relax, and stay for a bit while we have a chat.
Yes, I messed that up, but oh well, it's our first time. I'm nervous, Jenna. Welcome. We're showing our faces. It is the unveiling of our beautiful faces. We decided to show you guys our faces so that way you could see our genuine selves. You could see our genuine reactions to everything. So it's not like we're robots behind pictures hiding anymore.
Exactly. We are so excited to bring this new component to our podcast to you. And just a quick little warning here for everybody. Where I'm situated here in my house, there's a telephone base here in the back room, in the background. So if you hear the telephone ringing, just ignore it. And I think, Luna, you have a little something on your end, too.
Yeah, I have some sirens that like to go off because I live next to a fire station. So if there's sirens, I apologize. We hope that nobody needs medical attention, but we cannot control that.
So in advance, we apologize for any, background noise interruptions like that. And then, of course, we're just so happy to be here with you tonight.
Yeah, exactly. We're excited to show you guys, that we're genuine people and share our journeys and our love of reading and writing with you guys.
Exactly. So we do have some exciting news coming up for 2022. We have a whole new way of what we're going to be doing for our podcast. I'm going to go ahead and let Luna talk about that.
Thank you, Jenna. So we are working right now on a plan for 2022 that each month we'll have a theme or genre that we will stick to for our videos. Super excited about that. No spoiling anything, Jenna, because we want them to be excited.
I know. I can't help it. I'm so excited, but I promise my lips are sealed until the first of the year.
Yes, but it will be amazing, exciting, fresh. Like, I'm super excited. We're going to be diving into some awesome things. So.
Exactly. But in the meantime, we are going to go into why we're here today. For this episode, we will be discussing the book review for the third installment of Maggie Stiefvater's Shiver Mercy Falls series. And we'll go ahead and start with you, Luna.
Okay. Well, the first question is, which character did you like the best and the least, and why?
Ooh. Okay, so for the past two books, I believe I chose Sam as the best character.
Yeah.
But this time around, I'm going to have to say Isabel Culpepper because let's just say she's got some cojones.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she's ballsy in this book.
Oh, yeah.
Too ballsy. So, my least favorite character would have to be her father because, he's just a big meanie poo. And of course, we'll go into that in a little bit. But what about you, Luna?
So, major spoilers here, because yes, we are discussing everything about the book, the ins and outs, what we loved, what we didn't love. But my favorite character, this is difficult. I love Isabel truly because I feel like she finally gets out of her shell. Like last book it started, but this book she was like, nope, I don't care, I'm B. So I love her for that, but Cole is probably my second favorite. As much as he has moments where we don't love him always, where he makes decisions we don't agree on, he does something very important and major that saves people. And that's all I'm going to say for right now, because I don't want to spoil anything for later. But least favorite is still, for all three books, has stayed the same for me. And that is Grace's parents, Rags and Lewis. Well, this one, I mean, we didn't like him last time. Like, her father
Right.
last time because he hit Sam. And that was just really uncool. But for me, this time, like later on, you learn that they're literally living their life like without a care that she's gone. They got a cat, which is like, it felt like they replaced her. And then when she comes home to say, "Hi, I'm alive, like Sam didn't kill me," then her dad's like, "Well, you're never leaving this house." He tries to put her on lockdown. So I'm like, "No." And even she's like, "You can't just come in here now and parent me after this long. You can't do it. Like, you missed your opportunity."
I remember in that same scene that her father, like, insisted that she was staying with Sam.
Yep.
No, she wasn't. She was
No.
kind of a wolf
She was kind of in the forest.
on all four paws.
Yes, and she, like, yes, there was in the beginning when she first ran away, I think there was a day or two that she was with him and everything, but otherwise, no. No, she was in the forest being her wolfy self. Why, no. Yeah, Sam wasn't hiding her. That's not how it went. No.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. Was the book a quick read or a slow burn? And if it was slow, was there a turning point where the book gained momentum?
So for me, again, the quick reader that I am, I do feel like it was a quick read once I got started. Because we took a week off because of personal issues. I had
Right.
started originally like 2 weeks ago to, I read the first 3 chapters. But then because we had taken time off, like I didn't keep reading it. But as
Mhm.
soon as I started it, I couldn't put it down. I was frustrated because I was just like, I need more of each character. So I couldn't stop reading because I kept wanting more and more from each character. So for me, it was a quick read for sure.
I can see that. I can see that.
What about you?
For me, I would have to say that again, personal issues. I actually did not start reading it until Saturday.
Yeah, like two
I was
days
kind
ago.
of a little, you know, slow at getting into it, but once I did get into it, after Grace had become a human
Mhm.
again, is kind of where it started picking up for me. And then I kept wondering, I'm like, what's going on with Olivia? I kept asking myself, of course, what's going on with Olivia? I need to know what's going on with Olivia. Like, we're talking about Beck, we're talking about Grace, we're talking about this, that, but no Olivia.
No, she is very, very sparse in the book. Like, was it last book we complained that Rachel wasn't in it? Like,
Mhm.
Rachel was nowhere to be heard from. It was kind of the same thing for Olivia here. Like,
Right.
Rachel
That,
was more of a character in this one, but Olivia, like, her name is mentioned in maybe 3 chapters and more after something happens, which we'll disclose later.
yeah, absolutely. But overall, I mean, I did read, like, if you count how much time I've read the book, I did read it in just under 4.5 hours.
Yep.
But everything kept getting in my way. Like I had a busy weekend, and I was doing some traveling this weekend, and then stuff at home, work, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, and then a couple of other engagements that I had to do in the evening after work.
Yep.
So I mean, a little bit slow.
Yep.
In that regard, as far as I couldn't literally like sit down and read it in one whole, sitting as I
Right.
would have liked. But overall, I did enjoy the book. It, kept me on the edge of my seat simply
Oh, yeah.
because I had like Olivia on the back of my mind. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, that too, but we'll go into that later.
Yes, most definitely. So, moving into our next question, what was your least and favorite and least favorite scene from the book? Like, what was that?
I have to say, I'm going to start with my least favorite and then I'll go into my favorite.
Okay.
So, least favorite would have to be the hunt, which is towards the end of the book. Like, you hear about the hunt being suggested in the second book.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe even in the first book too, but it was more mentioned in the second book. I can't remember anymore if it was mentioned in the first book.
I think it was just in the fact, like, kind of setting up that her father, Isabel's father, Tom Culpepper, was a hunter, and he had played a part in, like, another hunt. So I think
Right,
in that aspect it was mentioned in the first, but it is definitely more mentioned in the second one, and this one now.
right, yeah, and then you can feel the build up
Hmm.
in the suspense when it comes to the hunt. It's like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be happening. And like for most of the book, they're like, he's got a plan for like 2 weeks in advance. We need to move the wolves, and
Yeah.
and then the hunt happens. And what happens in the hunt, like, breaks my heart. I'm just like, oh my gosh, no.
Hmm.
And then adding to that, my favorite part of the whole book is Isabel, where she gets involved in this hunt in terms of, again, she's got some cojones
Hmm.
and she stands up to her father and is like ripping through the forest in her vehicle, and he
Hmm.
sees her up in the helicopter,
Yep.
and then he's like texting her saying, "Get out of there." And she said, "I will if you will."
Yep. I'll
And
leave when
then
you leave. Yep.
I'm like, you know what?
Hmm. Respect.
Yep. What about you?
Well, you haven't said your favorite.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, that
Isabel.
was your favorite? Okay, okay. For me, the least favorite. Oh, this is hard. I guess I just have to break it open. Olivia dies. That was my least favorite part of the book. Like I couldn't do it. That was my least favorite scene when and you didn't even get a scene. Like
I know.
you were just told like Isabel calls Grace and she was like, "Oh, just so you know, Olivia's dead." And I was like, "What?" You
Oh,
did not just say that.
exactly.
And that was my least favorite scene, 100%, because I was like, I mean, we'll get into more into that later, I'm sure, but it was horrible.
Yes.
My favorite part, ooh, there is so much good stuff happening.
Go with the one next to the top of your head.
Okay, okay, okay. So my favorite is during the hunt. Sam and Grace are wolves together, and it is literally like alpha of the pack and like omega, like the perfect team. Like they are standing right next to each other through the whole thing. They are doing it together as Mr. and Mrs. Wolfie, and I love it. That, yeah, first thought of my head, that's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. That won my heart too. Like, I love that scene. I was like, wait, what?
Mhm.
How did he become a wolf again?
Mhm.
But yeah, I have to agree with that. That
Yeah.
that is a very good scene. One of the best scenes.
It needed to happen too because there was so much like horribleness in the hunt. It that needed to happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't have finished the book. I would just
Right?
been like, nope, I'm sorry, love you all, but I'm not doing it.
You're funny. You're funny. Okay, so as much as I would love to continue talking about that scene, I would have to say the next question would be, if you could change one thing about the book, what would it be?
I think that I'm gonna have the same answer you are. It would be that Olivia would not die. In some way, she would be saved. Like maybe just take it out completely. Like we don't need that. Maybe she doesn't make the appearance until the fourth book, but don't kill her.
Right.
Like, we literally got no thoughts, I don't think, of Olivia's point of view as a
Nope.
wolf. And I remember last episode, that's something we were looking forward to. We were
Yep.
both like, we really hope this for the next book.
Yep.
And
Maggie,
it
Maggie,
wasn't.
if you're listening to this, we're not exactly very happy readers right now. Not
No.
in that regard.
No, we love this story. We love what you have created, but we're not happy about that. Not at all.
We're happy about the part about Olivia being taken out, unless she comes back somehow in the fourth book. Well, then we'll be happy.
Yeah.
Everything will be copacetic.
Exactly. So, I mean, we hold out hopes, Maggie. We really do. But for you, what would be, I mean, I'm assuming it's Olivia, but what would be what you would change?
Same thing, Olivia said, don't kill Olivia. I was really hoping, believe it or not, when they first mentioned the fact that that girl that was found in the woods, I'm thinking, oh no, oh
Yeah.
no.
Mm-hmm.
It better not be Olivia.
Yep.
I was like, that's why in the whole book I was going, please give me some Olivia. Give me
Mm-hmm.
some kind of
Mm-hmm.
scene of Olivia. I mean, that's why I was on the edge of my seat,
Yeah.
you know? But, yeah, I was, yeah, don't kill Olivia. Bring her back. Something. Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to say it. We were really looking forward to that. Olivia went through so much to become the wolf that she was, to be taken out. I feel like it was unfair. It
Yep,
was unfair to the character in itself.
yep. I agree.
So,
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe, you know how sometimes a character gets killed off, you know?
and
Surprising.
and you think they're dead, but then they come back to haunt you, Jenna. Yeah, I think I know a little bit about that.
Okay, I think I know where we're going towards that one.
Yes, but we'll move on. I'm just saying, people read Jenna's book Broken and the sequel Dawn of Darkness. There is so much love and hatred for that book. I love and I hate you because of it. More so love, but I'll be
Feeling
honest.
it, feeling it.
But moving on, do you have a favorite quote from the book, like, or did you have something that just stood out to you? I guess, like a favorite
No,
quote.
not really. What about you?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I saved two. So hold on one second. I will pull it up on my phone. I
Oh,
partially read it on my phone so that way if I found something I liked, I could save it. So chapter 49, Grace is talking to Officer Koenig, and at this point, yeah, we'll say it, people. Officer Koenig, we didn't like him in the last book because he was questioning Sam about Olivia's disappearance, so we were just like, don't like this guy. But in this book, he finds out that the reason she's missing is because of the wolves, and we're not sure if we can trust him. But she said that she was thinking when she was looking at him that it was like Mowgli asking Shere Khan in for some tea and crumpets. I loved that because Disney references. I loved that Maggie put that in there. It was very adorable and fitting, like for that scene.
right.
My second favorite is Sam in a later chapter. I think it's chapter like 60. But he says, my whole life I had thought that my story was, again and again, once upon a time there was a boy, and he had to risk everything to keep what he loved. But really, the story was, once upon a time there was a boy, and his fear ate him alive. That stuck with me because I think that we can all admit that there's something that we fear in life that has like a control over us. Not to go all deep into that, but I know I personally experienced that, and so it connected me. I was just like, yes, Sam, like, I know you, I feel you. Like, that was probably my most favorite quote in the book. Thank you.
What feelings did this book evoke for you overall?
Oh, what feelings, huh? I would have to say frustration. That's the
Feeling?
feelings that it evoked in me because every time you felt like there might be a sliver of hope. Like in the beginning of the book it said that the hunt won't happen for like a month because they don't have the time, they don't have the helicopter and everything, so they can't do
Right.
it. Then 10 chapters later, oh, it's happening in 2 weeks. So you start freaking out a little bit. You're like, oh my goodness. Like, Grace, you better stay as a human. You better not change. But then 2 chapters later, oh, by the way, it's happening 6 a.m. tomorrow. And Grace has changed.
Wait, what?
What? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like. How could you do this to me? Why? That's not right.
Right, right. Oh my gosh.
So for me, that frustration. Yeah. What about you?
Definitely share the same feelings. of frustration. I would also have to say the whole suspense. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, in terms of, again, the whole Olivia thing,
Yeah.
and thinking to myself, well, when are we going to bring back? And then all of a sudden, I don't know where they start thinking, Cole says he's going to try and, try and turn him into a human again. I'm like, okay, this better happen. I want to see it happen, Mr. Smarty Pants.
Yep.
So now I'm on the edge of my seat for that, and I got this hope, and then sadness when we found out that it was Olivia. Actually, more anger than sadness, but
Yeah. 100%. I'm with you. I was so ticked off. And I read the book. I finished it before you started really getting into the deep of it. So I remember texting you when I finished. I was like, I'm so angry at Maggie right now. And you're like, oh my God, don't tell me anything. And I was just like, you need to read. I'm so angry. I need to tell someone about it.
yeah, I tried to read the book on my way home, from New York, but the highway just wasn't.
Yeah.
It was too loud over the audio system, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm just gonna have to reread this when I get home. So, but as I was saying, some other feelings that I felt with this book was happiness that Beck was turned back into a human for like a little bit.
10 minutes, yeah.
And then during the hunt, they kill him.
Yeah.
Tom Culpepper kills him.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy, if you were real.
No, yeah.
Reach through the booking and take down that helicopter. Or actually, no, take out the gun, not the helicopter.
Yeah. Take that all out. Oh my goodness. Like, yeah. I was definitely angry. And at first, you thought that Tom Culpepper wouldn't kill him, but that Shelby, the she-wolf of horror, killed him. Because she starts trying to attack him in the back of the pack. So, and that's actually what makes Cole do the injection to turn himself into a wolf. Because he knew that if he didn't do that, that Shelby would kill him. She waited for the moment of weakness to attack, and she did it. But in the end, Tom Culpepper killed Beck and then killed her. Well, not in quick succession, but he did kill her in the end, I think. It was a mixture of her and, or Tom Culpepper and Cole that killed her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So, but, we all know we're angry at several things. But
Right.
moving on, what do you think of this book title, and do you think that it justifies the story?
The ending of the book, which we'll go into shortly, I would have to say that the title, Forever, does actually justify it.
I'm gonna have to challenge you there. I didn't think that it fit the book.
Really?
Because forever feels like an end. Forever makes you think that, okay, this is the book where you're gonna find out they live happily ever after. That's
True.
not how it felt to me anyways. So I think I talked to you about this. I have a sneaking suspicion that forever was meant to be the end, but that either the fans were unhappy and shared that with Maggie, or Maggie in herself didn't feel like that's where she wanted to end it. And so she produced Sinner, which is the fourth and final book. So for me, not to take over your answer, I just don't think it fit. I don't think it justified the story.
Explain it in that point of view, yeah, I would have to agree with you on that. So I'm probably going to take back my answer on this one. And I do think, based on the very end, I think it was the author's note or something, where she was actually talking to the reader, and it did make it sound like that was going to be the last book of the series. I'm like, no. No, but wait, what?
Yeah, but wait, there's Sinner.
Series, I mean, so maybe you're right. Maybe she did intend it to be only 3, and then,
Yeah,
a fourth one later on.
For some characters, I felt like it fit. For Beck, that was his end. You know what I mean? That was the end of his story.
No.
heartbreakingly it was. Like, and but it's interesting because I was a little bit with Sam in the fact that he was so conflicted about Beck. Like, you were hearing from Cole that he was apparently just this completely different guy, not the guy who raised Sam. And
Hmm.
so, as much as I wanted him to become human again so we could learn why, like, why did this need to be a thing? Like, it was conflicting. I loved him because obviously he had made Sam who he was, but I was angry at him for the other things we learned about him.
True. Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
What did you like best about the book?
Hmm. I like best. I'd have to say I like that in the end, you feel like there might really be a hope for a cure. Like, Cole the genius figures out a way to change them up and everything. But and that's the thing too. I like Cole. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
Cole reminds me of Spencer.
Yes. Really? Wait, what? Really?
Because as much as he has a different way of doing his genius things, he very much reminds me of the fact that, like, I feel like Spencer in the beginning doesn't have a lot of feeling and he doesn't understand other people's emotions. And so he is just like, he says what it is. He says the facts. He doesn't take other people's emotions into consideration. And I kind of felt that from Cole.
Okay.
I don't think it was as much as he didn't understand the emotion that he didn't care. He knew he was right, and that's all that mattered. So he reminded me of Spencer in the sense that, like, set him down with a notebook, and give him coffee, and he'll figure it out.
Okay, I can go with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's major differences. Boy genius, but there's
And
some.
sorry, but I prefer Spencer to Cole St. Clair. I mean,
Oh yeah, so do I.
and Cole are cuter.
Yes, yes. Even though we haven't seen him, I think that Spencer is. Oh yeah, I love me some Spence.
Right?
So, what about you? What did you like best about this book?
I have two things that come to mind. Shelby's gone,
Ah,
finally.
yes, yes.
I mean, might kind of sound like a little meanie poo in that sense, but she, in my opinion, was a she-wolf. And I mean, come on, she killed Beck.
Yeah.
Like, and she
And
killed Olivia.
yeah.
I mean,
And
really?
yeah. And really, we thought that she killed Cole. So we're letting that sock out of the bag, but Cole has a moment where you think he's dead, where Isabella literally sees him go down. And we thought that it was because of Shelby, and then later we find out that he's alive and he's amazing. But the I cried so hard. My cat like came and cuddled in my lap because I was just bawling. I was like, "Oh my god, you can't kill Cole."
No. I would have to say that the other part that I liked best about this was that we finally saw some Beck.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see him at all in the second book, and we finally got to see him. He finally got to turn back to a human, at least for a few minutes before the hunt started. I mean,
That
what
was
about
great.
you?
The best part, I just genuinely feel like it was. There's so many best parts. I'm sorry, my mind's going blank. It was seeing, Grace and Sam finally, become one. And then I really liked one of my favorite parts that I almost forgot about was Grace and Sam are chasing the Northern Lights. And yes, and they finally reach it and they're sitting on the cover of Sam's car. And she asks him, like, "Are you gonna marry me?" And he says yes. Yes. Oh, and she's like, "You don't have to answer right now or anything. I just want to know, like, do you have the intention to? You don't have to ask, I'm not asking you to ask right now. He's like, he says yes. That, oh my goodness. I love that part.
That's I initially thought that Forever was a good, was a justified title because I was
Hmm.
thinking of those two.
Yep, definitely. I know you cut out for a second there and then you came back. So do you want to repeat what you said right there?
Oh, yes. Okay. So, what you were talking about with the scene with them chasing the Northern Lights and
Yep.
stuff, and talking about marriage in the end. That scene right there is what made me think that the
Forever was
title
fitting.
Forever was justified
Yep.
because of those two. Because really, when you think about it, that's what the series is really all about.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just a supporting character on the side.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I hope though that in the end, like Isabel and Cole get together. Like I hope that there's two happy endings. I hope that it is Sam and Grace are number one, and then it is Isabel and Cole.
Yep, I agree.
Yes. So moving on to our next question. How do you feel about how the story was told?
Me definitely like the continuation of like the points of view between Sam, Isabel, Grace, and Cole.
Yeah.
But I feel like we could have had again more in regards to Olivia
Yeah.
and even in Beck.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, at the very beginning of the book, it started off with Shelby.
Yeah, it did.
We briefly had a point of view from Shelby. I'm like, wait, what?
Hmm. Like we knew she was coming back, but not that quick.
Right? I'm just like, okay, here we go.
Hmm. Starting on it already.
That, it kind of annoyed me as I was reading the whole book. Like, as
Hmm.
much as I hated Shelby and couldn't wait till she was out of the picture, like, for good
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Um, at the very beginning of the book, it's like, okay, we got some Shelby now, so I'm assuming that it's gonna carry on, like, periodically throughout the book. No,
No.
no, and I'm just like, well, are we gonna hear more of Shelby?
Yeah. Nope.
What about you?
Um. Jeez, this is difficult. I like it because it's our story, you know what I mean? Like, this series is gonna always have a forever place in my heart because, like, not only is it amazing, but this is our first series we've done on our podcast. I love it, but I was frustrated. I felt like there was seriously lacking in Olivia and Beck. Like, and Shelby, it's mixed feelings. Yes, I do feel like she had more that she could have said, but I disliked her so much that I didn't mind it. I was like, okay, you be out of here. Um, but and I wish she would have met her fate sooner than when she did because then we wouldn't have lost Beck. But I feel like she stayed true to what she's done so far. It did feel definitely like a flow through onto the next story. We just like were left wanting more. Like why
Right,
wasn't there more? I will say I was frustrated that Olivia was not given a fighting chance. She wasn't. She was just
right,
killed.
right. Like,
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Yeah. Just like bye bye.
What part of the book stood out to you the most?
There was one scene that really stood out to me. Sam is sitting playing his guitar and like crying, and Grace is, I believe, asleep upstairs, and he decides that he's not going to let his fear rule him anymore. So he continues playing his song and he goes into the bathroom where he is terrified, where he is literally getting flashbacks as he is playing, but he sits in the dang bathtub that he was forced into twice in previous books and he overcomes it. Like I don't think that it will like never bother him again, but he can actually walk in without completely mentally shutting down. And that stood out to me huge because it was like, finally, our boy finally, you know.
My heart.
Yep. But what about you? What part stood out most to you?
Ooh, okay. The very first thing that comes to mind is after Beck has been brought back to human by Cole St. Clair,
Mm-hmm.
Beck is pleading with Sam
Mm.
to talk to him
Yep.
because of the whole, Beck bit him and then turned him and was his adopted father, and then so like we can both understand where Sam is coming from in his mixed feelings, but just that I can picture the begging puppy dog facing Beck's
Mm-hmm.
eyes like, please talk to me, like oh.
Yep. Oh yeah. That was a very good and heartbreaking moment. Like, I remember feeling so tense because I was like, please, Sam, like, you're never going to have this opportunity again. Say what you need to say. Get it out. You're going to regret it if you don't.
Get that closure, because closure ain't coming back. Like
No.
you can feel it.
Yeah.
It is Beck's dying year, as they
Yeah.
said in the book.
Yeah.
So, what scene stuck out with you the most?
Let's see. I'd have to agree that back in the basement was huge. That really stuck out to me. Another one, I think I briefly mentioned it earlier, was when Grace went to go talk to her parents. And literally, she brings Rachel with her as a referee, which I loved. I was like, yes.
Buffer, but
Thank
yeah,
goodness.
I like that one better.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they literally opened the door and she doesn't have a key, so she can't just walk in. So her father answers the door and the cat runs out. He just escapes.
Kitten.
And yep, the kitten, and he's just like in shock. And what angers me is he doesn't even hug her. Like
Yeah,
he just stands there. And he's like, "Oh, hi." What do you mean, "Oh, hi"? Your daughter's been missing.
I know, right?
Like, for 6 months, you thought that Sam killed her. Like, you've been talking with Tom Culpepper about it. Like, I was so angry. And then, like I said, he had the gall to just be like, oh, you have to stay here. You don't have a choice. And I love when Grace was literally like, oh, I'll stay here if that's what you want me to do. But then after I turn 18, I will never talk to you again. I was like, yes.
You go, girl.
Yes, exactly. But I'm wondering, what surprised you most about the book?
Well, a couple things surprised me. The first part was that totally lost my train of thought. Well, I expected more scenes with Shelby as the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've said that a couple different times throughout this podcast. So, another thing is that Rachel is brought into the mix finally.
Mm-hmm. And she
Like,
finally learned about it.
yep. And then they're just freaking out when they're turning into wolves. It's like, calm down, girl.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Breathe, it's okay.
Right. And what about you? What was your what surprised you the most?
I think it was the scene where they go to tell Rachel. And Sam's trying to, like, get her to the car so she can see that Grace is alive because she also thinks that Grace is dead. And he's just like, just step towards the vehicle. Like, and she's like, no, I don't want you to kidnap me. You're gonna kill me. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. He's like, here, call Grace. She's in the car. And she still doesn't believe him.
Right.
And Grace is like, talks to her and she's like, if you don't get in here, people are gonna be suspicious. It looks really weird. Just get your butt in the car. And the surprising moment, she still doesn't do it. She's still like, no, this could totally not be Grace, and this could be another lure, and you're gonna take me, and you're gonna kill me. And she's like, the only way I'll go is if I can drive. And Grace is like, do you know how to drive a stick shift? And she's like, no, but I can learn. And it's like, oh my goodness, you know your best friend's there. Get in the car.
Yeah, that is a interesting scene to say the least. Like,
Yeah.
I have to say that is like you get the sense that okay, we're gonna tell you, but you have to get in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Rachel, just get in the car so you can find out what's really going on.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah. Just come on, girl. Like, we know you're a little bubbly, you know? We know you're the it girl, but come on, just get your butt in the dang car.
I kind of expected her to call him boy more because she always called him boy like throughout the first and the second book. Like,
Yeah.
but no.
Not when she thought that he was a cold-blooded killer.
When, you know, I don't want anywhere near you. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I get why she didn't want to do that because, you know,
Safety, you know?
safety. Yeah, exactly. So I get that.
It was smart, but there was a certain point where it was like, okay, obviously he's not this person that everybody made him out to be. Get in the dang car.
Right.
Just
exactly.
move.
Exactly.
Yes. So, was there anything that did not meet your expectations in the book?
Yeah. Two things. I expected more scenes with Shelby,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's the she witch.
Yep.
She-wolf. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
I know sometimes, you know, even though she's the villain of the story, one of the villains, I should say. At least the fur version
Yeah.
of Amy. Like, I did expect more scenes with her, but I also expected more of Olivia in terms
Yeah.
of like at least giving her a dang fighting chance. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. It was super, super upsetting that there wasn't more, like, fight. Like, in a sense, I can understand why she killed her. I don't agree with it, but give her a proper ending.
Right.
Give her, like, I don't know, a scene where she's thinking, where we hear her thoughts, where we know that she put every last effort into living.
Exactly.
Give us that respect.
Right? From the moment she declined, what do they call it? The meningitis.
The vaccine or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
The blood,
So
yeah.
give us the point of view from her starting back to that point.
Yep.
Where she disappears and becomes a wolf. I mean, would be nice, Maggie.
Yeah, yeah. Listen to us.
Love your books, Maggie, but
That was hard. It was. But I think that there was a question that we missed. Did you think that it was the right time or place to end the story? I think we missed that one.
we did miss that one.
Yep.
But I don't think I heard your answer for that last question there.
For me, was there anything that didn't meet my expectations? I just
Yeah.
agree with you. Like,
Oh.
I think that, like, Olivia should have been given that scene, like, given her something, because it wasn't fair for her to just be cut off. Another thing that didn't meet my expectations was probably the amount of time that Grace was human with Sam. I genuinely thought once she had kind of turned for the summer that it would stay that way. So I was expecting more. Like, I get that there was so much other stuff going on with the hunt and everything, and they were focused so hard on, like, let's get Beck back. Let's like do all these things. I feel like it was lost to focus on her and Sam.
Right.
Because that is, like, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We're here to find out if they get there forever.
Right.
And we still don't even know.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
Like,
from the authors, being that we're writers
Yeah, yeah,
and, authors and stuff like that, I would have to say from the author's perspective, the ending was justified.
yeah,
I think it was a good ending.
yeah. In the author's
I
sense.
hate it because I wanted more,
Exactly.
but, you know,
But I think
gotta
we
end.
feel that way about a lot of really good books.
Yeah.
Like, Finding Dakota. I'm just gonna say it. I kept wanting more. I was like, no, Jenna, you can't stop here. This isn't right. Like, we can't end it here. It's not right. But looking at it from the author's point of view, that was the perfect spot to end it. Because that then leads us to wanting to read the fourth.
That's true. In the case of the Shiver
Yep,
series.
yep, yep.
Mercy Falls.
But I
What?
will say, yeah, I will say from the writer's point of view that I agree it was the perfect spot to end it. As a reader, no, I don't think it would ever be a perfect spot to end it. I will say, I think, going back to writer's perspective, she should have waited to tell us that Cole was alive until the next book. Like,
Ooh, I agree with you on that.
yeah, yeah, because there is the moments where we're crying over his death. We're
Yep.
heartbroken, but I feel like she gave too much in the ending that way.
As far as Cole is concerned,
Yeah,
yeah.
because we know he's alive, so it's like, oh, okay, we don't need to worry. He's in the next book. But that would have been the perfect first chapter. Isabel calling the house and Cole answering.
Ooh, yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
come on, that would have been perfect. So I will say, yes, it was good, but I do think that she could have left us more in suspense by not finding out if he was alive. Because it says, like, they don't find his body. So they thought, oh, he just, hid to die. Because a lot of dogs and wolves do that. It is just something in their system. They don't want people to find them or see them in pain. So they go away to die. So, like, why not have ended it there?
Right.
I think it would have been perfect.
And you have a good point there.
Then thank you. I try to make a couple of those.
Right?
Yeah.
Do we have anything else to add to the whole overall review of the series so far?
So far, I would recommend anybody who loves young adult and werewolf type fantasy to read it. Definitely. It is a series that, like I said, will hold a place in my heart. It is a very good fantasy series that weirdly ties you into real life. Like, I feel like there's a healthy balance of the fantasy and real life. Like, it brings a lot of like real life situations into it, and I appreciate that because sometimes you go so far into fantasy that there like you can't think, oh, this could actually happen. No, it can't.
Right. And one of my favorite parts, actually, I'd have to say, the favorite part about Cole St. Clair is that he brings the science of it,
Hmm.
like, into the whole universe. Like, how does this work? And how
Hmm.
can we cure this? And why does this happen? Like you can see he's, you know, he's his father's son,
Yep.
whose father's like a mad scientist, so he kind of gets, what's the word I'm looking for? Obsessed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that. He eats,
Trying to figure
sleeps,
out.
and breathes the cure. Like,
Right?
what can I
So,
do?
like, you have the fantasy, you have the real life, you got the science behind it, and
Hmm.
then what I liked about the whole wolf thing is that it's not based on lunar activity,
Yep.
but
Yep.
it's based on weather
Yep.
activity in terms of temperature. Like, as soon as
That
it
is
gets,
completely unique. I have never read anything else like it. This is the only series, so I would say I enjoyed that too.
I
Yeah.
have to say, also, another part that disappointed me about the book was the temperature. We had the temperatures
Yes.
in the chapter headings of the first book, but not in the second or the third. I mean,
That
like,
was.
but that was so cool.
That was one thing that we had said in the first book was our favorite part because it added a sense of immersion into it. Like you
Mm-hmm.
could feel the chill with each chapter, and
Exactly.
that wasn't anywhere. So that was a disappointing part for sure.
Exactly. Um, I want to add to the fact that I listened to both the audiobook on Audible, and I also, because I don't have enough uh, shelf
Yeah.
space, I had to purchase the ebook.
Mhm.
So I read the ebook and I listened to the Audible version of it, and I have to say, um, two perspectives, as we all know in the first book. That's Sam and
Grace.
Grace. Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh, so you can hear the two different people. Like I love that.
Hmm.
And then you bring on in the second book and in the third book two more perspectives, Isabel and Cole.
Yep.
And then of course Shelby in the very beginning of the third book.
Yep.
Like really, as far as Audible is concerned, I couldn't really tell too much of a difference between Isabel and Shelby.
Okay. You run into that difficulty, like having so many voices and everything, you run into that problem if you don't get distinct enough voices to
Right.
play each role.
Now, in the third book, because you have those two women, Shelby in the very beginning, and then Isabel throughout the book,
Yep.
and then you move on to Grace, she has a very distinct way of talking.
Hmm.
So, like, you can tell it's her,
Hmm.
you know? And then Sam and Cole, I think they're a little bit different. Like, I,
Yeah.
I could tell different. Like, Cole had, like, a kind of a deeper voice.
Hmm.
Sam kind of had like a more sensitive,
Yeah.
soft, sensitive voice. So I did appreciate listening to the Audible version with the ebook version. Like I think they pair up great together. And then of course with the Audible version, you can set the speed from anywhere from 0.25, I think, to 3.5, which
3.5.
is
Yeah.
speed, you know. Um, and then, you know,
Yeah.
as somebody who's would subscribe to Audible, you have that option to pick whatever speed you want to hear the audio version.
Yep.
I mean,
Mm.
it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, I think, a lot of people enjoy audiobooks. For me, I don't know what it is. Like, I hear the words, but they go straight through my ears. Like, in one side and out the other. It doesn't retain. I have to see the words myself.
Exactly. So
And
I don't recommend, like, I mean, if you're somebody who's actually, I wouldn't even say driving because it would probably distract you. So it's probably a good thing I, decided to stop reading it while I was driving. But overall, I would say if you're gonna listen to the audio version of it, get the ebook or the actual physical copy, because they really do pair up great together. So
yeah.
I mean, you can read them one or the other, really up to you. But personally, I like to pair them up together.
Yeah, I had a conversation with my aunt actually about this, about me being more of a reader rather than a listener. And she said, as someone who drives a lot and who doesn't always necessarily have the ability to just sit and read,
Mhm.
she's constantly on the road, that she loves audiobooks because she doesn't have the opportunity to just sit and read always, but she still loves books. So she listens to them. And she said, honestly, a lot of people who get into audio either don't have the attention span to like physically read it, or they are constantly in a vehicle going somewhere. So I could understand the audiobook. And my mom as well. She can't sit down and read a book like cover to cover. She doesn't have the attention span. But she loves audiobooks. Oh my goodness, she'll go through those in like 2, 3 days. So I think it does depend on the person. And
Yeah, now that I think about it, there are some people that I do know that do listen to, like radio stations, like all they don't, do anything but listen to. So you're right; they don't have time to just sit down and read. Some people are just constantly on the go.
Yeah.
So, hey, if the audio version is your style, go for it. I
Oh
mean,
heck yeah.
it's cheap-ish. I forget what the price was. I bought it a while ago.
Yeah.
I forgot the price. I think it was around. See, I have an Audible membership, so I think it
Right.
was like $5.99 or something for me. So for me, it was worth it.
Yeah.
But the audio version, I mean, is just as good as the book version. But if you're somebody who can appreciate doing both, go for it. If you're
Mhm.
somebody who just wants to read, just read it,
Yeah.
go for it. If you're somebody who doesn't have time to read, then go ahead and listen to the audio version. They're all
Yeah.
just as good. I believe, though, with the audio version, that for most of, especially on the audio platform, I don't know about any other platform, but on the Audible platform, it seemed to, from the very beginning, like it'll say chapter, it's like verbally, it'll
Okay.
say chapter one, but the heading of the audio file will say chapter two. So
Okay.
it kind of like jumps ahead in that sense as far as the titling of the actual file format.
Mhm.
But just go with it.
Yeah. Does it say in the beginning of each chapter like Grace and Sam? Does it tell you that it changes or
Yes,
oh,
it does.
okay. Cuz that would be a thing that I could see would be frustrating because, you want to know,
Yeah,
especially if voices
no,
are similar, you'd want to know which is which.
yeah, no. It's been like that in the first book, the second book, and in the third book. So
Yeah.
yeah, so they still have that.
Yeah, I bought the audio for the first one because I tried it. I was super busy during that time, so I tried to just listen, and it cost me $14.
Hmm.
Standard audiobooks, that from what I have seen, go from like 7.99 to 14, depending. I don't know on what, but I think it would be worth it for someone who has like more of the feelings for the audiobooks and everything to get Audible for the
Mm-hmm.
discounts and everything. Not a sponsor, we wish, Amazon high. But
Right.
I do think it's worth it. Like any platform that you can really get into to read and bring literature into your life is worth it.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
I did think of one other thing, one other scene that I loved. I almost forgot about it. When Sam and Cole go to the gas station, it's sad they run into Olivia's brother, but the one scene that stuck out to me in that was Cole has a little Mustang that Isabel gave him, like a little toy Mustang. And he literally just sits driving it, like he drives it up Sam's arm at one point. He drives it around the doors of the gas station and stuff. And that in that moment, like you can't help but love Cole. Like, oh my goodness, it's so adorable. Like
Yeah.
I feel like we look at him and we get angry at him because we don't necessarily agree with all of his choices. And he can go about things differently, but I think the truth is that he loves Isabel.
Yeah.
And you love him for it.
Yeah.
But I suppose that is about all the time that we have.
All right, everyone. So, being that that's all the time that we have for, this episode, we do want to say thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to show our faces to you.
Yes.
And just thank you for allowing us to um, be in your ears and, in this lovely evening for an hour or so. And again, just thank you for joining us on this week's episode of The Flow of Ink.
We appreciate each and every one of you, and we hope that you join us for next week's episode where we'll be discussing writer's block and everything that comes with it because it's annoying.
Yes,
Yes, and we can't wait to discuss that further with you.
absolutely. So if you have any questions for us, please drop a comment below and we will address it in our Q&A portion at the beginning of next week's episode. We promise that we won't bite.
not too hard. Also, do not forget to hit that bell icon and subscribe to our channel so you get notified for every episode that we post. And again, thank you for joining us here at this week's episode of The Flow of Ink, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.